The US-India relationship, once a model of bipartisan cooperation, is now under serious strain. Years of careful diplomacy are being undone by rising friction, unpredictable policies, and public disagreements. The Trump administration's transactional approach, focused on trade deficits and tariffs, has left New Delhi feeling undervalued. India's independent foreign policy is misread in Washington as a lack of commitment, deepening the rift. This growing mistrust weakens both nations at a time when global threats demand unity. Rebuilding trust will require more than rhetoric. It demands a fundamental policy reset and a renewed commitment to shared goals. Tariffs have become the flashpoint in US-India tensions, igniting a debate that goes far beyond economics. These trade barriers are not just numbers on a spreadsheet, they represent a fundamental clash of priorities and perceptions between two of the world's largest democracies. For many, tariffs are a symbol of protectionism, but for others, they are a necessary shield for vulnerable industries. The Trump administration's steep tariffs on Indian goods ignore the global norm that allows developing economies to protect their industries. For decades, international trade rules have recognized that countries like India need time and space to nurture their manufacturing sectors, create jobs, and lift millions out of poverty. By imposing these tariffs, the US sent a message that it was willing to break with tradition and challenge the very framework that has guided global commerce for years. Imposing these tariffs without consultation signaled that the US saw India as an adversary, not a partner. The lack of dialogue and abruptness of the decision left Indian officials feeling blindsided and betrayed, undermining years of diplomatic goodwill. It's not just about lost revenue or disrupted supply chains, it's about trust, respect, and the willingness to work together as equals. The economic pain is real, but the diplomatic fallout is even more damaging. Small businesses across India have struggled to survive, workers have lost jobs, and entire communities have felt the ripple effects. But perhaps more importantly, the sense of partnership between the two nations has been eroded, making it harder to collaborate on issues like security, climate change, and technology. The first step to repair, remove all tariffs on Indian goods, immediately. This bold move would not only restore economic balance but also send a powerful signal that the US values its relationship with India and is committed to fairness and mutual growth. This isn't a concession but a correction. It's about acknowledging a misstep and taking responsibility for the consequences. By reversing course, the US can demonstrate that it listens to its partners and is willing to adapt when necessary. A public apology from the president would further clear the air, signaling respect and a desire to reset the relationship. Such a gesture would go a long way in rebuilding trust, showing that the US values India not just as a market, but as a true ally on the world stage. Only then can both sides move forward on shared strategic interests, from economic growth to regional security. By addressing the tariff conundrum head-on, the US and India can lay the foundation for a stronger, more resilient partnership, one built on mutual respect, open dialogue, and a shared vision for the future. The White House sees the US-India relationship as unfairly tilted, often focusing narrowly on trade deficits and economic imbalances. This perspective, however, is somewhat myopic and fails to capture the broader context of the relationship. Trade is just one aspect of a multifaceted partnership that spans defense, technology, and cultural exchanges. While trade deficits are important, they shouldn't overshadow the strategic and geopolitical dimensions that are equally, if not more, significant. The US administration's focus on trade imbalances, championed by figures like Peter Navarro, often ignores India's legitimate need for strategic autonomy and its unique geopolitical challenges. India, with its long history of non-alignment, seeks to maintain a balanced approach in its international relations. This view, championed by figures like Peter Navarro, ignores India's legitimate need for strategic autonomy. Demanding India abandon its ties with Russia and China is unrealistic and counterproductive. Demanding India abandon its ties with Russia and China is unrealistic and counterproductive. Such demands overlook the complex regional dynamics and historical relationships that India navigates. True partnership means making the US the more attractive ally, not issuing ultimatums. True partnership means making the US the more attractive ally, not issuing ultimatums. It involves understanding and respecting each other's strategic interests, and working together to address common challenges. The administration's transactional mindset misses the bigger picture. This relationship is about shared values and global stability, not just trade balances. the administration's transactional mindset misses the bigger picture. This relationship is about shared values and global stability, not just trade balances. By fixating on tariffs, Washington risks losing a vital strategic partner. The real value lies in building a coalition of democracies, not chasing a perfect trade ledger. By fixating on tariffs, Washington risks losing a vital strategic partner. The real value lies in building a coalition of democracies, not chasing a perfect trade ledger. A strong US-India relationship can serve as a cornerstone for a more stable and prosperous world order. The real value lies in building a coalition of democracies, not chasing a perfect trade ledger. By focusing on shared values and mutual respect, the US and India can forge a partnership that not only benefits both nations, but also contributes to global peace and stability. India's diplomacy is a masterclass in balancing great power interests. Prime Minister Modi's outreach to Russia and China isn't disloyalty, it's strategic autonomy in action. India must keep options open, given its geography and history. Subtle moves like skipping Beijing's military parade signal India's independence without burning bridges. India won't be drawn into a China-led bloc, especially with unresolved border disputes. Engagement with Russia is leverage, not alignment. Ironically, US unpredictability has forced India to hedge its bets. A reliable US partner would make alignment with the democratic world far more appealing. The onus is on Washington to make partnership the obvious choice for India. India's foreign policy is shaped by a deep tradition of independence and strategic autonomy. This approach is not just a modern phenomenon, but is rooted in centuries of Indian history, where the subcontinent's rulers and thinkers have consistently valued self-determination and the ability to chart their own course. From ancient empires to the freedom movement, the desire to remain free from external domination has been a guiding principle. Today, this legacy continues to influence how India engages with the world, ensuring that its decisions are made in the best interests of its people and its future. As a leader of the non-aligned movement, India has always resisted being pulled into superpower rivalries. During the Cold War, India's refusal to align with either the United States or the Soviet Union was a bold statement of its commitment to independent decision-making. This stance allowed India to build relationships across ideological divides, focusing on peace, development, and cooperation with a wide range of nations. Even today, India's non-alignment philosophy shapes its diplomatic choices, enabling it to maintain constructive ties with diverse countries while safeguarding its own interests. This spirit remains alive today. India values sovereignty and avoids dependency. Whether in matters of defense, technology, or trade, India seeks to build its own capabilities and reduce reliance on any single partner. The country's leaders are acutely aware of the importance of self-reliance, especially in a rapidly changing global landscape. This determination is visible in India's investments in indigenous industries, its focus on innovation, and its efforts to protect its borders and national interests. American policymakers must respect this reality if they want a lasting partnership. Recognizing India's need for autonomy is essential for building trust and cooperation. Attempts to pressure or dictate terms are likely to be met with resistance, as India's leaders prioritize their nation's dignity and independence above all else. A successful relationship will be built on understanding, patience, and a willingness to engage as equals. India sees China as its main long-term competitor and will not cede influence to Beijing. The ongoing tensions along the Himalayan border and the broader strategic rivalry in Asia have only reinforced India's resolve to protect its interests. India's approach to China is marked by vigilance, careful diplomacy, and a readiness to defend its sovereignty. This perspective shapes India's partnerships and its willingness to collaborate with countries that share its concerns about regional stability. The US should not expect India to become a treaty-bound ally, but rather a flexible, equal partner. India's preference is for strategic partnerships that allow room for independent action and mutual benefit. This means working together on shared goals, such as security, economic growth, and technological innovation, while respecting each other's unique perspectives and priorities. Flexibility and adaptability will be key to deepening the relationship. Building trust means working with India's independent mindset, not against it. True partnership requires empathy, open dialogue, and a recognition of each other's strengths. By engaging with India's vibrant democracy, diverse society, and rich intellectual traditions, the US can foster a relationship that is resilient and forward-looking. Collaboration in areas like education, climate change and innovation can further strengthen these bonds. A resilient partnership is possible if both sides embrace mutual respect and shared interests. By honoring India's enduring spirit of independence and working together on common challenges, the US and India can build a future that benefits not only their own people, but also contributes to peace and prosperity across the globe. Allegations of presidential business interests influencing US foreign policy add a troubling layer to the US-India relationship. Concerns about Trump family ties in Pakistan cast doubt on American motives and create uncertainty for Indian officials. This lack of transparency undermines trust and complicates diplomacy. Allies should never have to question whether US policy is driven by national interest or personal gain. Restoring ethical boundaries is essential for rebuilding confidence in American leadership. The US-India partnership is central to shaping the 21st century. India's scale, democracy, and strategic location make it the world's pivotal swing state. In the contest between democracy and autocracy, India's alignment could decide the outcome. A strong US-India partnership counters China's ambitions and secures global sea lanes and supply chains. Alienating India over tariffs is a strategic blunder that benefits Beijing. Every US policy should ask, does this bring us closer to India? Investing in this relationship is an investment in America's own security and prosperity. The future of the free world may depend on it. Restoring the US-India partnership requires bold action and vision. Remove punitive tariffs and offer a sincere apology to reset the relationship. Shift from transactional thinking to long-term strategic investment, joint defense, technology, and educational exchanges. Treat India as an equal partner, consulting on global issues and respecting its autonomy. India, in turn, can deepen its role in the Indo-Pacific and the Quad, signaling its alignment with democratic values. Both sides must look beyond short-term politics to the profound benefits of alliance. With decisive steps, the US-India partnership can emerge stronger, ready to meet the challenges of the century.